Hey everybody, hello again and welcome to another episode of 15 Good Minutes. It's your guy, Coach B. I'm here with Freddie. Freddie, my man, how you doing today?
I'm well, and yourself? Good evening.
Doing good, doing good. We're still saying big ups to JR. We got your seat ready whenever you decide to get back, my man. Keep rehabbing. We will be here trying to hold it down for you.
No doubt, no doubt.
What I want to talk about today, Freddie, is something that we kind of teetered on it before earlier in the year, but something happened early last week that kind of triggered this thought process for me. And what that was the Philadelphia Phillies fired Joe Girardi, right? And I want to get your opinion or your take on the impact of a win now mentality as it pertains to professional coaches. And this doesn't necessarily have to be Major League Baseball specific, but I think you may recall when we did before the NCAA tournament started, that week between the end of the season and that, remember we talked about all those coaches that were just dumped right away and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So in some cases, like I'm going to focus on Joe Girardi today, and I got some things I'm going to go over. But first and foremost, what is your opinion on not just a guy getting fired mid-season, not even mid-season, early season, but the reason for your coach being fired that your team is not winning?
Well, regarding Joe Girardi being fired, I think it is probably a deeper, more systemic issue going on. I think.
How long has he been there though? Right, just like 2-3 years.
This is his third season, I think. So I think it's probably something, a little bit more, maybe. I'm not sure. But I would like to think that it's probably a little bit more, not to mention, you lost 17 or 14 of the last 15 games or something like that, some crazy number.
Yeah, but their record really wasn't that bad comparatively speaking to some of the current teams that are out there.
Right, exactly. And I think, maybe it's just a tough stretch that they're going in. Guys aren't playing well or what have you. Maybe ownership probably said, hey, we need to send a message. And sometimes it's okay to do that. Maybe that will wake up players and do that. But I personally, I'm not a believer in the win now philosophy because it puts too much pressure on the players and the coaches.
Similar things like what's the young fella's name? Darvin Ham is now the coach of the Lakers. So let me put it to you this way. With the assumption being Los Angeles doesn't change any personnel on the court, what is Darvin Ham going to do that Frank Vogel couldn't do?
Darvin Ham, you're not going to push him around. Didn't he break a backboard in college or something?
That don't impress me though. I mean, I know Darvin used to play here years ago in Washington. I'm really proud that he got the job. However, I don't blame LA's situation, and I never did on Coach Vogel. I just didn't. And the fact that you have somebody now who's coming in, and yes, he's got a reputation, that's fine, but he's never been a head coach, and you're going into a place where egos reign. Think about this for a second. Just last week, it was announced that their star player is now the first active billionaire. Right. Not a person who became a billionaire afterwards. Mm-hmm. He's actively playing and he's a billionaire. What do you think Darvin Ham's going to say to him?
Sometimes I think moves, whether it be players or coaches, I think in some cases, I think moves are made to set up another move down the line.
And I don't know how good my sources are, but I'm told that Juwan Howard turned them down for that job.
Yes, I saw that too. I think me personally, if I was Juwan, I would have took it.
My biggest thing here though is that I don't think that if the only thing that changes is the coach and the coaching staff, that the result is any different. And going back for a second to situation with Joe Girardi, I would bet anybody who listens to this podcast right now that come spring training next year, Joe Girardi is going to be in somebody's camp coaching.
Mhm.
So you don't get fired because you're a bad coach. It could be like you said, maybe a personality clash or something like that, or they presented it as a we're not winning enough now and we have a top 5 payroll. But I still maintain at some point players have to play. I got a great example for you. Buck Showalter is currently yes, he's alive, and he's the
I'm
manager.
being sarcastic.
Right, he's the manager of the New York Mets,
Mm-hmm.
who are the first place in the National League East at the time that we're recording. He hadn't managed in 4 years, and when he last left, he was managing the bottom of the barrel Baltimore Orioles. Their record was abysmal. Players played horribly. Attendance was bad. The whole thing. However, you look at somebody like Buck. He's been coaching over 25 years, managing over 25 years. I say that to say he has a style and a mentality that isn't going to change. So if I take a manager who's in a city like Baltimore and the players don't give a shit, the players aren't putting up, and the manager gets fired and says, I'm done with baseball. He comes back 4 years later. He's the same person, has the same system, brings back his guys to coach, and you're in first place. To me, that says there should be more emphasis put on the players. I know it's not going to be because it's a players' league everywhere, and I take this all the way back to Penny Hardaway when he got the coach fired a million years ago. Yes. Yeah. So and that's why I'm saying when I say that Gerardi is going to be on somebody's roster next year, it's no stretch. I didn't think he should have been fired when he left the Yankees. Have the Yankees gotten better, since he left? I don't think they have. So at what point do we hold the players accountable? Every manager has a particular mentality, and you have a signature that is your body of work, I should say.
Okay.
And Buck's not changing that in 2022. Yet, again, first place in the NL East, and nothing, the only thing that changed, they have the same roster by and large as last year. They did bring in some great pitching, but they ain't pitching. Max Scherzer's been on the injured list the whole time. Their regular DeGrom is always in and out of being on the injured list. So the only thing that changed here is a manager that's been doing it for 25 years, yet they are in first place. I maintain they're in first place because they're playing better. Baseball is not a complicated game.
That it is not. I think also with coaching, whether it be on a professional level as well as college, specifically for some of those guys that have been recycled, Buck Showalter, let's say Mike Brown, that's going to be the head coach in I think it's in Sacramento. Mike D'Antoni. It's specifically in the NFL, who's a guy that's been recycled. So, I mean, I hate to say it, because I don't want to appear that I'm bashing another brother, but Lovie Smith, I think they're all good coaches. I think they know the game.
I do too.
But in order to be successful, the owners want to fill the stands. They want to sell $18 hot dogs, $10 pizzas, $13 beers, right? To generate revenue. I think a lot of it boils down to timing, and you have to be very lucky.
A couple of fun facts. I do also think there's certain coaches that, have what I call the family protection. In the NBA, Greg Popovich, 26 years. Their record, 34-48, but no one's talking about replacing him. Eric Spoelstra has been there since 2008. When you look at Major League Baseball, Bob Melvin in Oakland, I think he's been there since 2010, 2011. Right now, their record is 20-35, Freddie. A hell of a lot worse than Phillies was with Joe Girardi.
Right.
But Bob Melvin's been there forever. NFL, Belichick, 22 years. Tomlin, 15 years. Harbaugh, 14 years. And then in the NCAA men's basketball, Jim Boeheim at 42 years. A lot of people think he should be out, and the school's just not going to do it unless he leaves. Going back to Girardi, I think I told you and JR when they first got fired that I think he's going to be a candidate for the Nats job. Well, it turns out when I'm looking up some facts for today's show, the next 3 guys on the hot seat are Martinez here at the Nats, Bell with the Reds, and Don Mattingly with the Marlins. An interesting fact about Don Mattingly is he is the Marlins' longest tenured manager by a long time. But they're talking, so those three will be out. So what I'm telling you now, mark it down. Joe Girardi will be coaching one of those three teams. And I honestly think it'll be the Nats because of the affiliation with the NL East.
That is possible.
You talked about the carousel, guys coming back. Dusty Baker gets fired from the Nats when he shouldn't have, goes over to Houston, winning. Last question I got for you today is you are a cognac guy, correct?
Who?
Cognac.
Oh, I thought you said Kanye. So, I don't mess with that. I ain't got no problem with Kanye.
Cognac, cognac.
Yes. Got some right here.
Yeah. Now, I wanted to, because essentially Freddie was in town a week or so ago. We went to dinner, and he had something called the Flying Fisherman or whatever the hell he had some Grand Marnier put into Hennessy. What was it? French Connection. Yes. Fair enough. Not the Flying Fisherman, but prior to mixing something in your cognac, is there a reason that you just, because I know for a long time, like you just straight up, what is that, and now is that the only way you drink cognac is with that in it?
Yeah, I think, they kind of balances each other out because, most people say, oh, if you're not used to drinking Hennessy, you say, oh, that's very strong, yada, yada, it burns. But when you mix the Grand Marnier in it.
I like cognac, and my go-to is Hennessy Privilege VSOP on the rocks, nothing else. Another thing that I do, though, Freddie, is I look for cognacs to pair with cigars. And last year I found one called Frappin, Farpin, which it was pretty good with a cigar. I don't always pair it, but this time of year, I normally do. But when I was looking up some cognacs, and I said I'm going to drop this on you, I was wondering if you've ever had or tried something called Hein Cognac XO. It rates pretty high. I haven't tried it, but it's getting 5 stars from those that have.
I haven't. The cognacs that I've tried would be Courvoisier. I've tried, I guess, Remy, which to me Remy tastes like cough medicine. Douce gives me a headache.
I don't even consider that cognac, man.
I don't know what that is. I tried it once because I tried this one time. That was when I was right before I left the DMV. It gave me a headache.
Question of the week before we go out is pretty simple. Freddie and I were talking about this before we came on air. It's not going to apply to everybody, but if you are a gamer and you play sports, is it mandatory in your gaming circle that you represent the city or team that you're in when you play sports? As an example, I'm in Washington, D.C. When we play competitive in our baseball league with Freddie and some other people, I am not the Nats. Love the Nats. They're my guys. But in this league, I'm the Toronto Blue Jays. In Freddie's world, what he does in Madden, he represents his favorite team, which is Tampa. Always been his team. If you know Freddie, you know he rocks with the Bucks. And he kind of comes hard at his friends that are from places that have teams that they don't represent. So the question that we have for our audience is, if you play a sports game in a gaming community, how important is it for you to represent your home team?
There's nothing wrong. My thing is, right, hypothetically, if someone is from Atlanta, right, and let's say, they're playing Madden, they're from Atlanta, and then you go and play with, say, the Kansas City Chiefs, right?
Don't make the assumption that choosing a team that's really good, like the Yankees, who are in first place right now as we're recording, are going to guarantee that JR is the one in our league that walks away with the trophy. Getting ready to wrap it up, guys. So get an opportunity. If you are a gamer, let us know your thoughts on that for our question of the week. As always, we thank you guys for being with us, for rocking with us. We appreciate your time. We're having a lot of fun bringing this to you. You get an opportunity, check us out on Twitter at 15 Good Minutes or here on youtube.com/15 Good Minutes. And I know it's going to sound like a broken record, but Freddie, safe travels again. I'm going to start taking a clip from the first time I said safe travels. This guy's been going on the road, I want to say last three times we did a broadcast. So safe travels to you, my man, out there on the road this week. We'll definitely sync up when you get back. JR, we know you're out there, buddy. We know you're getting close to your return. Looking forward to that as well.
All right.
We'll see you guys next week. Enjoy.